Hi there, I'm Rodney Orpheus, I'm from iConnectivity. Here we are at the iConnectivity booth. We're showing a lot of iConnectivity interfaces. We've also got Henry Strange from Strange Electronic, which is the best name for a company ever. And he's showing his new setlist software, which works with our fabulous hardware. And we've also got Eric Morris over here. He's a professional playback tech, works with a lot of big bands. And right now, we also have Wreak Havoc over there. This is a legend of electronic music, Mr. Wreak Havoc. Has done sound design for a lot of big bands and a lot of... Actually, if you do electronic music, you'll probably use some of the samples made by him. So let me talk to you what we do. We make interfaces. We make audio interfaces and we make MIDI interfaces. And in fact, we make audio interfaces with a lot of MIDI and MIDI interfaces with some audio. Because that's what people do. People need audio and they need MIDI. Now, you're probably saying, why would I need another MIDI interface? Because the MIDI interface I've got has been the same MIDI interface that I used for the last 25 freaking years. Because nobody changed how they did MIDI. So what we've done, is we're building the world's first 21st century MIDI interfaces. Let me give you an example. This is our MIDI 4 Plus. It's a MIDI interface. It's called the MIDI 4, which is a terrible name because it makes you think it's only got 4 inputs and outputs. And it does have 4 DIN ins and outs. But it also has USB host ports. You can add a USB hub to this and add 8 USB MIDI devices as well as your 4 DIN devices. So it's actually a MIDI 12. The other cool thing, it's got Ethernet because it's the 21st century. Who needs USB anymore? We use Ethernet as well as USB. You can connect any of our interfaces via Ethernet, and each interface can have 4 virtual ports of 64 channels of MIDI. So one Ethernet cable, MIDI's an old protocol, it's tiny compared to Ethernet. One Ethernet cable can carry thousands of MIDI channels. So we can rig up all our interfaces via one Ethernet switch. You can either run it through power line, you can run MIDI over the wiring in your house to our interfaces. So if you've got a studio with a lot of gear, you don't need to run your DIN cables across the floor anymore. One Ethernet cable to each interface, done deal. If you're playing live, your USB cable is this long. Your Ethernet cable can be 300 foot long. So you can run MIDI all the way across the stage. We've got a lot of bands who are using their modeling guitar amps. They're running patch changes via an Ethernet cable. They've got SPDs on the drums. They're patch changing those via Ethernet. The drummer's hitting his pads and triggering virtual instruments on a computer at the side of the stage. It's no problem. Just completely networkable. So no other MIDI interface does anything close to what we do. What else we got? Audio interfaces. This is our newest audio interface. It's called the Play Audio 12. And when we first designed this, people thought we were crazy. We made an audio interface with no inputs. And people were like, who needs an audio interface with no inputs? Well, I do, because I got a whole bunch of synthesizers and virtual instruments, and I need outputs when I play live. So this thing has 12 outputs on the back. No ins, just outputs. And it's designed for playback. I can run playback tracks, I can run virtual synths, whatever. So what's cool about this? You can see it's got 2 USB connections on the front. That's because there are 2 computers plugged into that interface. One interface, 2 computers. Because what's the biggest problem when you're using computers live? They crash. And if you're playing a live show in front of 50,000 people, or even 5,000 people, or even 5 people, when that computer crashes, if you don't have a backup, it is the longest 2 minutes of your life. What happens here is we can run both computers simultaneously, and when one computer crashes, it will automatically switch over to the backup computer, and it does it in microseconds. Not milliseconds, microseconds. It is literally impossible to hear the changeover. So you can be, doesn't matter what you're doing, audio and MIDI, it will change over all your backing tracks instantly and seamlessly, so no one will notice that your computer crashed. The band won't even notice. The only way you'll notice is that little green light will turn red. but it's physically impossible to hear it. And that's a huge, huge, huge winner. So we've got some of the biggest acts in the world have started using this. We've got Kendrick Lamar, Mariah Carey, Shaggy, Wiz Khalifa, hundreds of guys. This has gone from nothing to being the greatest secret weapon for live playback in the world. So you'll see, we're a really tiny company, but we had literally half an hour ago the keyboard player from the biggest band in the world here, Louis Fonsi's Despacito, 5.9 billion views on YouTube. That's billion, not million. And they're using this live for all of their shows. Literally the biggest thing in the world by forever. So what else have we got? Henry here, this is Henry Strange. Henry's invented an incredible Ableton Live add-on called Setlist. Henry, tell them all about it.
Hello, I'm Henry Strange from Strange Electronic. And Setlist here is just a very basic app. It reads all the markers in the arrangement page from Ableton Live and puts them in here in the full list, and you simply add the songs in your full list over to the set list. And now you can easily just hit play on the song and it'll cue the next song, right? So your show becomes 2 buttons. Play, stop, play, stop. And it goes through each song of your set list. So the whole idea is that you just simplify everything. Instead of looking at this whole complex thing, you just have a list of your songs. And the songs are also repeated here on the iPad. So you can every band member can have a set list on the iPad right here. So very, very simple.